Hello everyone, my name is Kingsford Uram Foley, a BYU student pursuing cloud administration, term 6 in 2025. This is week 2, assignment 2.7, which says prove virtualization and server hardware. What this assignment is about is that I'm about to create a virtual machine in my Azure Cloud Service. So before I do that, I had opened my browser in incognito mode. This is because should in case I forget to shut down my virtual machine in Azure and I close my window, it doesn't keep running because incognito browser or private browser doesn't keep history or let the machine keep running. That's why we are in incognito mode. So without further ado, let's head over to Azure Cloud Services by typing azure.microsoft.com. And we're on the page now, so we'll head over to the sign in by clicking the sign in page at the top right corner. So excuse me, sorry. I'll sign in with my BYU pathway email address since I'm signing in as a student. So my subscription is Azure for Students. Now taking me to the church sign in page. I'll use my username and password. Success.
Stories out.
From here, it can take you straight to the portal. That is if you've not added another security system to your login page. Mine, I've added the Google Authenticator. So I'm going to punch in the code given to me by Google Authenticator. Seems like we are good to go. It's asking me if I trust BYUpathway.edu. Yes, I do. And now in Azure Cloud, so we go to the virtual machine page. There's no virtual machines here, so we are now going to create one by clicking this. You can also do that directly at the home page by clicking on virtual machines, then create, and it gives you this, which is why we'll pick the first option, which is virtual machine, because we are not going to be adding any other extra features to our virtual machines, just a normal virtual machine. Now my subscription here on the create a virtual machine page, my subscription is Azure for Students. My resource group, that's the group I'm going to put my virtual machine in. I name it IT235 test. For my virtual machine's name, I'll name it Foley 235. And for the region, I'm going to pick France. For the availability options, I'm going to pick no infrastructure redundancy required because we will not be backing it up. There's no need to back it up since it's a test machine. For the security, I'm going to choose standard. For the image, I am going to choose Windows Server 2025 Data Center Azure Edition 64-bit generation 2 or gen 2. You can pick any one you want. For the VM architecture, we'll leave it as it is, 64-bit. And for the size, I'm going to leave it here at the first one, which is $148 per month, which has 2 cores, 2 CPUs, and 8 GB memory. For enable hibernation, we're just going to leave it because we are not going to hibernate the machine. And the administrator account, I will put 4233. Then I put in my password for my administrator account that I'll be using to sign into my Azure virtual machine when it's created. It says the password is much. When it comes to the inbound ports, you choose the one which says allow selected port. So I'm choosing the RDP port 3389 because we'll be accessing the virtual machine remotely. So I need to enable that port to inbound traffic to come through that port. So now we'll be heading over to the next page, which is the disks. For the disk, I'm just going to leave it at 127 GB. Apart from that, I will leave everything else. Click next to networking. For the networking, I'm just going to leave everything as it is, then click next to management. With that also, I'm going to click next and leave everything as it is. To monitoring, I will leave everything as it is because I'm not going to add any feature of monitoring the machine, whether health check or alerts. I go over to the advanced, then I go next after that to the tags. That one I also leave everything as it is. I go to the tags. I'm not going to create any tags because this my machine that I can put any. I don't want to put any tags on it describing what it's meant for. So we go to review and create. So now it's reviewing. You can see at the top left corner say that running final validation. If everything should go through, it will tell us yes, it says validation passed. So we create our virtual machine. So it will take a bit of time. So let me just this says deployment is in progress. So we pause the video and let it finish creating the virtual machine. Now our virtual machine is completed. So we will now head over to the resource. So you see here it says go to resource. We'll click there and it will take us to our virtual machine. Now in our resource we see our virtual machine which says 4235, like we gave it a name. It seems that's an issue with my virtual machine. It says virtual machine agent is not ready yet. Let's see what's wrong. Okay, so let's go back and see. Now we can see my the resource group here. It says IT 235. The subscription is Azure for students. This is the primary NIC public address or IP of our machine. This is the private address of the machine, and we can see the size here, which says the standard D2 version 3 with 2 CPUs and 8 GB memory, as we saw. The disk is here for auto shutdown. We'll come back to this later on, since we will have to create a task for it to shut it down at a particular given time. The name of the virtual machine, as we said earlier, is here. It's running on a Windows operating system. The VM version is 2. Its VM architecture is 64-bit. So now all we will do is we'll try and connect to the virtual machine first. By connecting to it, we have to check its accessibility. So we'll check it, and it's checking. Okay, it says it can be accessed through the port 33889, and so since we said earlier we'll be accessing it by remote desktop application, we'll download the RDP file here. Already had that one initial, so let me delete it and then we will download it. So now downloaded our RDP file onto our desktop. So should we go to our desktop, we'll see the RDP file there. I don't think we saved it in our desktop, probably in our downloads folder. So let's open our File Explorer, then okay, maybe it's better if I look at the folder in which it was in. So okay, it's on my desktop, so you can see it here, 4235 RDP. Now before we access it by remote desktop client, let's try and access it by the Bastion method. So we'll put in our username as we created, 4233, and then the password. Then click connect. So it says creating new Bastion. It's been created, success. So let's see if it will open up. Yes. it's creating. So let me pause the video so it's does the configuration and all that, since it's the first time we're signing into my machine. Now our virtual machine we've logged into our virtual machine for the first time. This is the local server. We'll see if it's working, it's running. You can see it. Yeah, this is the name of the virtual machine it's been logged into. Let's check the features of the virtual machine by going to File Explorer. Go to this PC. Let's check the properties of it. So you see the device name 4235, the processor, this is the processor, CPU 2.3 gigahertz, another 2.9, two CPUs, 8 gigahertz, 8 gigabit, sorry, not gigahertz, gigabit. You can now see here the Windows edition it's using the Windows Server 2025 data center Azure edition. So you see it here. These are the features. It shows that our PC is working, our virtual machine is working. Alright, so let's shut it down from here and access it by remote and see if that also works. So we're shutting it down. Or we could just go to the remote, what do you call it? And access it by the remote desktop application and see if it works. So we're going to close the Bastion login. Now we are going to sign in or try and access it by remote desktop. So you see it here, the Foley 235 RDP file. Let's try and access it. See if the configuration we did. Yes, it seems to be going through. So let's put in the password we used in creating the account when we were creating the administrative account. Yes, I'll click yes. Yes, we've been able to access our virtual machine via the remote desktop protocol. So the RDP, you can see it here, 4233, and go to File Explorer as we did in the Bastion sign-in or the Bastion access of the when we tried accessing it via the Bastion method. So here you can see this PC properties. So for the properties, we can see it here, 4235, 8 gigabyte RAM. It's running on the Windows Server 2025 Data Center Azure Edition, version 224 H2. It has 2 CPUs. So it's clear we have been able to create a virtual machine and access it through the remote desktop application. So we can now shut this down. Sorry, I've access uh, I've opened something called Screen Power. It's an application, forgive me. So with the remote desktop, we are going to shut it down now. Or we just leave it as it is. Now the next task will be to create a scheduled shutdown task, as I said earlier. So now let's head over to our virtual machine, and then we come to automations where it's automatic. So we go to automations, go down to automations, and then yes, here you see tasks. So we click on that. I've already once created a task, so let me just delete that and then create a new one. So we are going to add a task, a shutdown task, as the assignment says. So the template we are going to use is this deallocate virtual machine. So we click there, then we go to review and create. Sorry, we have to authenticate it. So it says it's been created already. I tried doing that earlier on. So you can add your authentications here, and then you have to authenticate the Azure VM, and also authenticate this one, the Office 365, so it can keep it like a calendar that is stored in your virtual machine. So then we go to configure. So during the configure, you pick a task name for it. So we'll call it 235 shutdown. Okay, server 235 server shutdown task. And we'll pick the date. I would say maybe 12. Okay, 11th, and then the time will be 12 midnight. The time I can pick maybe Eastern Standard Time, EST, and then the interval I'll just make it 1. The frequency I wish it should happen, I would say during the day. And then notify me. Yes, it will notify me in my email address. So I'll put my BYU or any email address you prefer. Then next we go to review and create. We see it here, says new. So now we are creating a new task. It says creating a new task. You can see it here. Now we've created a new task, a shutdown task for it, scheduled one. So by the time it's 12 midnight Eastern Standard Time, it will shut down by itself if I've not shut it down myself. So we've been able to create a virtual machine, access it remotely, created a task for it, and proven that it's up and running. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the video.